Welcome to the Restoration Domination Podcast, where you learn actionable advice that moves the needle and helps service-based businesses dominate. Here's your host, Rico Garcia Jr.
What is going on, Dominators? Rico Garcia here. Super excited about this particular episode. Brett, thank you so much for joining us today. Are you ready to help us dominate?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Cool. Hey, for those that may not be familiar with the name and the organization, do me a quick favor and just introduce yourself. Let everybody know exactly who you are and what you're doing in the industry.
Sure. Well, my name is Brett Lawton. I'm CEO of Lawton Construction and Restoration. We're a full-service restoration contractor, Northern California, Northern Nevada. We do textile restoration, GC construction, abatement, mitigation, the whole thing.
Nice. So to give us a little bit of background about how you got into the business, and eventually what I want to do is on this conversation is I want to really pick your brain and let the audience, kind of get a 30,000 foot view of what you personally believe for anybody who's entering the business now. What kind of mindset they need to be going into this business with in order to really make it successful? Because there's a lot of individuals out there, as you know, that are really struggling. They see the financial gains, but they're not quite. They haven't cracked the code yet, right? So obviously, you've been in the game for a while. Kind of take us to the beginning about how you got into the business and some of the changes that you've seen.
Sure. We'll do an origin story. So got into construction when I was about 16 years old, working for my dad, just doing GC construction. My dad moved up from Bakersfield in the 70s, came up to Northern California, and then started doing some work with AAA insurance back in the day, back when it was just, paper estimating. I jumped in when I was 16, graduated early, started working with my dad, just working for him full time. Around 2006, 2008, we rebranded to Lawton Construction and Restoration. I took over as CEO at that point. At that point, we only had a couple trucks. We were mainly GC contractors. We were only doing the reconstruction side. And at that time, I was meeting adjusters, and I started seeing how the mitigation teams were coming out, and they were doing a lot less work for the same scope of work that we were doing. So I'd see $10,000 for us. I'm there with Mrs. Smith picking out paint colors and baseboard. They're there for $10,000 for 4 or 5 days, dropping off blue machines. So I'm like, man, I want to get into that. So, got certified water mitigation, ICRC certified, started dabbling with that with AAA insurance. Took a while to get past the gatekeepers. Then we started doing water mitigation. And then from there, learned about asbestos abatement, then got asbestos abatement certified in California, started doing that, then doing bio cleanup. And then from there, we're subbing out a lot of our pack outs. And then from there, I started saying the same thing. I'm like, well, it's kind of our same wheelhouse. Why can't we bring textile into, our same business model? So then we brought in contents and got the warehouse for that. So we started pretty much scaled from 2006, 2008 from like 2 trucks, and then scaled all the way up to about 2020, where we had about 150 employees, 3 locations, I'd say about 80 trucks. And then now we've scaled back a little bit now, trying to go, profit first now. And I can kind of get into that in more detail later.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So during that growth period, right? Because a lot of people hear the story and they're like, man, wow, okay. It seems like everybody just has this miraculous growth, right? But and it's great, right? Because it's a feel good story. Like everybody's like, man, kumbaya, we're making tons of money.
Sure.
But it's not always an easy road, right? So
absolutely not.
What were some of the biggest growing pains, right? For the people that are listening and or watching, and they're like, man, okay, well, what is it? Where are the landmines that you should be willing to expect and almost be willing to step on and know that if you can get past that, you'll be okay?
Sure, I understand. We'll start. It's not all happy kumbaya, that's for sure. We're still going through growing pains, and we're still stepping on landmines. So, in the early stages, let's just start in the early stages. When you're an owner operator, say, you are the man, right? You got a couple trucks. It's left hand, right hand. You look at your bank statement. You know what your payroll is. It's pretty much basic stuff. So you really do know all facets of your business because it's really small. When you start scaling up, what you don't take into consideration is all the metrics and analytics it takes to run a business. And that's what I think I failed at, and what a lot of business owners fail at is the idea of scaling sounds sexy. but the amount of work behind the scenes it takes to put the brick and mortar and the foundation in, it's not just hiring people and buying trucks. It's all the infrastructure that goes into it. I mean, you go from a couple trucks to like looking in the parking lot, knowing your managers are working, to you get to a size where the trucks in the parking lot, people sitting at desks don't mean you're making money. You know,
exactly.
And that changed a lot, you know, especially more recently as, insurance has got more regulated, pricing's been cut, your margins are less. So like everything comes into play. And that's why I want to touch on analytics and how to run your business off of, you know, spreadsheets more than just off of, you know, basically looking at your trucks on the road. But yeah, it's a definite learning curve for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm constantly having conversations with people about is just really getting familiar with your numbers and having systems in place, and where a lot of us, myself included, right? It's like, you know that you should have systems, you know that you should have dedicated time to put pen to paper and start writing out exactly how it is that you do everything, and even start filling out the responsibilities of certain roles that maybe you haven't even hired for yet. But again, it's a 24-hour business for a lot of us, right? And look, we get exhausted, right? We get tired because, you know, you're thinking about payroll, you're thinking about the projects that you got to go do and everything else, where your next deal is coming from, you know, chasing down money from insurance. You've got all of these things. And sometimes we kind of push that off until we've already scaled or started to scale, right? And I'm using this word scale in various terms, right? Because scaling from owner operator to your first, you know, 3 to 4 employees, that's a scaling system. From 5 employees to 10, 15, it's a big difference, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when did you start really putting pen to paper and start organizing and getting everything out of your head onto, you know, SOPs and really having systems for your business? Or is it still consistently an evolution?
I mean, it's still consistently an evolution, but back probably around 2016, we started putting more effort into that, but it was still archaic at that point. And also the industry has made us shift because, you know, in the earlier days, we were making money, you know, even without all the metrics in there, even without our labor efficiency rates, even with messing up a whole bunch of stuff and screwing things up, the margins were better. So the industry, as it gets tighter, forces you to become a better business owner. It's like every industry, because competition, I mean, it just makes you have to be leaner and meaner. So as we started learning that our margins are going down, as we kept scaling up, our net profit was going down. So we're getting bigger and bigger. We're looking more sexy to banks and more sexy to venture capitalists, but we weren't bringing as much home. And then we actually went to having a couple downturn years. From 2020 to 2023, we lost money in scaling. And those were our biggest years. And so we learned a lot of lessons with regards to how many managers it takes and how many offices you can run and all the different mid-level managers where you have all these giant payrolls that start sucking up all the GP, right? Because when you're writing a scope, whether it's Xactimate or Solitaire, all you have labor and materials. That's what you're selling, right? At the bottom line, you have your profit and overhead. All your office staff is just feeding off of that.
Right.
So you got project coordinators, project managers, estimators, marketers, office staff, AR, AP. All of them are feeding off of that same Xactimate scope.
Right.
And you think you're going to make money. You were making money when you were the AR person, AP person. You had 2 trucks. You could keep all that.
Right. Exactly.
Now, as you scale up, well, the estimate hasn't changed. You just got to do a shit ton more of it now at volume to make up for it. Otherwise, if you're stuck in that mid-level spot, it's almost like a death sentence because you're not making enough gross volume to justify the jump in the amount of payroll it takes, an HR division, all these different divisions. When you go from 20 employees to 50 employees, 50 employees to 80 employees, 80 employees to 100, everything's a milestone leap that involves infrastructure and additional teams, additional managers, and all of that you don't take into consideration until you're in it. And and then I always say we're controlled by volume. So if you're a heavy TPA restoration contractor like we are, we have so much opportunity, and they call us up. Hey, can you take this territory? Can you take that territory? We got all this work, and they just keep feeding you work. Well, that's controlled by volume. You get it's like you talked about earlier. You're chasing that new shiny nugget, and you're not paying attention to your business. You're being a yes man or a yes person, chasing after that new dollar while you're just letting Rome burn behind you.
Right.
It's this carnage behind you. You're chasing it because all of us are salespeople at heart, right? That's why we got into this. We all love that dopamine hit. But what you realize,
that's exactly right.
So I mean, I'm the same way. And you look back and go, "Oh, holy shit! Like all this more volume has made me a bad business owner."
Right.
And, so I'm opportunistic. I want to go after it, but I don't have the infrastructure. So we're squandering it. So that we had to really, and we call that right relationship review. We started going over what TPAs work for us, scaling back, and then start building the infrastructure to support the different programs and different vendors and different, because every vendor is different. And if you can't do all that, you really have your team spinning in circles.
So here's what I think is a tough question, because I don't think anybody really has the concrete answer, because every business is so different, but I still want to get your take on it.
Yeah.
When is the right time to scale, right? Because again, even as an owner operator, I mean, you're keeping 100, basically, for all intents and purposes, you're keeping 100% of the money, right? You send out a $30,000 invoice, you cover your assistant, whoever was helping you on the project, whatever material costs you had. For the most part, you're pocketing the rest of the money, right? Which is where I think a lot of people in the beginning, they're like, holy shit, I just won the lottery, right? I just got to do a few projects a month and, we're kind of good. And there's truth to that. Eventually you start getting bigger and you start, hopefully your days are packed and you're in high demand and you're like, man, okay, I need to start bringing people on, right? But at what point, is there a metric? Is there a number? Is there a percentage? Is there a dollar figure that business owners should look at and say, okay, are we really ready to scale? And what kind of mental shifts does the owner need to take? Because again, going back to your point, every time you scale and you bring on more people, you have more responsibility, more weight on your shoulders, there's less money that's going to you, right? So in a roundabout way, you have to be really, really comfortable either with your existing lifestyle and knowing that more money is coming in, but you're not really going to touch that money.
Exactly.
So talk to us about that.
Sure. Well, there's a couple of good points in there. I'll see what I can do to decode that a little bit. So I would say in the beginning, when it comes to scaling up, I mean, for us, it was opportunity. So I started scaling based off of opportunity. There was a need in the industry. We were getting more leads than I could get to. So I know what my operational capacity is. So let's just go over labor efficiency rate. If you're an owner operator, your labor efficiency rate is insane. You're probably 100x multiplier because you have all the initiative. It's on you. You're the man, right? When you bring on managers, what do you expect their labor efficiency to be? So for me, you can only do so much in a day. So like when I was driving my truck, I couldn't go to more than 10 jobs a day. Even writing scope on site, even trying to be a badass, like that was exhausting. And that takes a toll on you. That takes a toll on your family. If you're working weekends, you're doing night calls, like it's taxing. So there's no way to stay a single shop and do all that at scale and do, and think you're going to do more than like $1 million of revenue. And there's nothing wrong with $1 million of revenue whatsoever. But like, you're just not going to do that alone with 5 or 6 technicians and yourself, maybe one office staff. You're going to burn out.
Right.
So for me, it was the opportunity of wanting to scale, wanting to get into more areas, wanting to get bigger than that. And then also wanted to have time for my family because, we all read the books and here, we always have this pipe dream of I'm going to build this and I'm going to sit back. You know what I mean? So we're all chasing I've been doing this, so the first 10 years I just grinded. I was in the field doing inspections and then I'm like, man, I want to be an entrepreneur now. I want a business. I want to be a CEO. And then you start shifting gears, right? You start hiring people. My first mistake was hiring people thinking they're going to be the next me. So the hardest thing was hiring people realizing that they're not going to do the same amount of work as you. So now their labor efficiency rate's different. And then also with regards to like their bonus scale, how much work they can get done, their efficiency rate, all that is difficult when you're an owner operator and you're expecting someone to be a miniature you. That just doesn't exist. So we created, we call them KFFMs, key function flow maps, with regards to what I expect an estimator, whether it be a write and run, which is a project manager estimator combo, or a project manager and estimator separate. They have a KFFM, and based off their salary and their bonus request, we pump in the numbers. It tells them what their gross revenue needs to be, what their net profit needs to be, how many jobs they need to do, what their cycle time needs to be. All of that shit pumps it out, and they have to sign it. And that's just been a very recent one that we've done, and it's been freaking pivotal for us because I could hold their feet to the fire. Because as you know, when you're interviewing people, if you're an owner operator, everybody coming to you just jump ship into the company, and they all interview great. Oh, I could do it all. We all know the cautionary tale, how many people jump ship, and then in this industry especially, it's a revolving door of the same guy, different shirt. We all know the guy. They jump around from restoration company. They go over here, get certified, take that certification, go over here, get a pay raise, It's a very tumultuous industry, right? So for me, having those numbers set up and holding them to the fire in the first 90 days was pivotal. And we weren't doing that. So back 2-3 years ago, we probably had over 10 in-house estimators, and we hadn't figured out the KFFM yet. And these guys were just not even close to even breaking even. And it took us too long to catch up. So we burned through all of our cash flow by making those bad decisions. So that'd be a cautionary tale. I'd say, unless you can have metrics to grade your team on, you have no business hiring a part 2, a part 3, or any other managers unless you know how to grade them, at least on a quarterly scale.
Right. So for the owner operator or someone who has a relatively small team, what should they be looking at right now, and how would they develop this?
We went through some consultants, but I just went to the Contractor Connection trade show, and a bunch of the software that we're using is now there at the trade booths. So all the analytic programs we're using that runs Microsoft Word, that blends QuickBooks with Xactimate, with Dash Solitaire, with JOC, they're all there now. Like a few years ago, we had to go out there and seek them out. Right, and we found them. Now they're like right in your face. So I'd say go there, talk to the guys that are talking about analytics, all the boring trade show people that have all the boring iPads up that show you how to run your business. Don't
those
take
are the ones you want to talk to.
Those ones you want to talk to. That's how you run your freaking business. Everybody wants to go look at the new moisture meter and the new dry out machine and the new semi truck. Screw all that. You learn how to run your business.
That's always been ludicrous. It's like there's so many people in the industry who talk about the equipment. It's like, and they bore even their customers to death about like the equipment. It's like nobody gives a shit about that. Like the new Phoenix, in theory, maybe it's a little bit more efficient, but like it's not going to move the needle enough. Like, you really need to have systems in place and understand the mechanics of your business and the mechanics of your personnel and the mechanics 100%. Of your management team in order for you to really become efficient.
Yep.
Right.
But even to go backtrack a little bit, so you say you're owner operator, you don't have the infrastructure of all that. You got to figure out your labor efficiency rates. So you can go even Google, look at basic construction trends to see labor efficiency rate. Is it 20x? Is it 15x? Is it 30x? What are you paying your guys? You paying your guy $35 an hour? Is he a 20x employee technician? Is he a 10x employee? What's the median? If you don't even know that, you don't even know if your technicians are at baseline. So if you don't know that yet, and you're owner operator, I'd start there. Do you know are your technicians a C rate, B rate player, A players? Where are they at? Are they just a body with a pulse? You need to know, but before you scale from there, if you're starting with that, that's how most owner operators start with technicians. Then they usually organic growth is you hire a project manager that now takes on that portion of it, right? And most owner operators usually dabble in estimating and back office, and the PM runs their projects. And the same employees that used to work for you now work for your PM. Well, you better have the right employees in place, otherwise you're going to have a whole bunch of issues just right there in the beginning, and then turnover ratio there. And you don't want to have turnover ratio when you hire a new project manager, because now he has no one to run.
Right. Exactly.
So I would start with your labor efficiency rates and just doing basic stuff like that. You can just do them off of Google spreadsheets. And
that's
same
awesome.
Same with the project manager too.
I think this is kind of a good segue here is, talking about scaling. Obviously in our business, you scale when you scale. Regardless of what you do on a marketing side, right? Or regardless of whether you sign up with additional programs and you start getting all of these calls and all of these leads, you can't be just a one-man show, right? Or you can't even, when you scale, you need people in this business. One of the hot topics for a very, very long time, and I think it's going to remain hot, is how difficult it is to find good quality personnel.
Oh, yeah,
talk to us about that, and talk to us about what you feel the labor market landscape looks like, and what's required nowadays from an employer to really bring in and to create an attractive environment for a good quality employee, because a lot of employees don't want to work now for $15, $20 an hour. It's very difficult to make a living, at $15, $20, $25 an hour, right? Correct. Especially if it's a family man or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
So that clearly puts a lot of pressure even on the company, right? Because
Sure.
hey, you want to get good quality people. Well, you need to have a good, compensation package, right?
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
talk to us about the general labor market and
Sure.
where an organization needs to be in order to attract those top players.
I mean, so in the labor market, with regards to actual skilled labor in the field, we know that the price has skyrocketed. Minimum wage has skyrocketed. I'm here in Northern California, so I mean, $15 an hour doesn't even exist in my
Right.
world. Like, its baseline's 20 minimum, and then from there it goes up. So for us to find good skilled technicians, actually what we're looking for mainly is people that have IT experience with regards to how to run iPads, their iPhones, laptops on site. Everything now is all techie. So the old school guys that come in, all the abatement guys that can't run tech, they have a use to me, but they're not the next generation. I want technicians that can do everything remote on site, because that's part of the labor efficiency rate. So when I'm looking for new talent, I'm looking for people that have some kind of construction skills, also some basic computer skills, obviously clean driving record, all these things, and also the emotional intelligence to deal with clientele that can also go at a job site and also make the homeowner feel happy. And that to me is the most important part. A lot of these guys have the skill set, but they're too rough around the edges. And there's a time and place for that. Most of us are in people's homes while they're still there, so we're looking for people that fit the mold for that as well. And it's, we have a whole
You're not
HR
really
team
looking
now.
to do what most companies are trying to do, which is basically,
Exactly.
polished turds, essentially.
Correct. Exactly.
Right.
And that's where the labor efficiency rate comes in. So for us, for our HR team, we have them come in the same thing. We give them their labor efficiency rate. We give them their bid sheets, and same thing. It's a 3-month trial period. So it's baptism by fire. Send them out there. If they say they can do water mitigation, they have their certs. We send them out. Manager oversees them, checks in on quality control, see if they're doing it as per our standards. If they keep faltering over 3 times, we cut them. But like it's a constant revolving door. So I mean, we've had technicians that have been here 15 years. We have had technicians that last 2 weeks. It's just so. I mean, you're always going to have that as you're scaling too. You're going to have both of those, and you also have predatorial employees. We've had our first class action PAGA case where we hired people and they're literally trained, and they come in here predatorial to try to sue you, and you don't even realize it. And as you get bigger, when you get over 100 employees, you become a target, and then attorneys seek you out because so that's a very dangerous spot. We learned the hard way on that. So that's a whole nother.
That's a whole different conversation. That's a whole other episode right there.
Exactly. But no, for me, my HR team, I gave them basic. Obviously, we can do the cliche things. We have our core values and our core purpose, and like our core, we say we're going to hire and fire based off of our core values. So our HR team goes over our core values and goes over our work ethic, tenacity, hard work, being humility. Do these things appeal to you? And if they say yes, then we usually bring them on. But like, we look for red flags, obviously.
Yeah. The general responsiveness to the job market, though, how have you seen that over the years? Do you feel that people are lining up at the door like several years ago, or do you find that the younger talent, frankly, is more concerned about just making money online?
Well, 100%. Like there's a giant generational gap between people who are looking for jobs now, it seems like, and there are a few of the next generation that are actually workers, but it's not the norm. So in general, we have a huge gap. We have most of our technicians are literally almost senior citizens, and then we have them, late 30s, but like looking for like new up and coming out of high school, hardly any applications whatsoever. We've got, we go to the colleges, we do, their college days there, we sponsor it. We get hardly any. Everybody wants to be an engineer. Everybody wants to sit behind a desk. Everybody wants to be an architect. No one says I want to go pound a hammer.
Right.
And when I do speaking gigs and stuff, I tell everybody, I'm like, you're missing out on a huge market because there's a whole generation of people that don't know how to do shit anymore. So you make more money pounding that hammer now. I mean, then you're going to be sitting at a desk because you have a commodity that most people don't have. You can fix things.
Exactly.
And that's why I think trade schools are super important, again, for kids coming out of high school, because you can make a great living coming out of high school, being a plumber, HVAC, single trade person, because you are a commodity. You're not the norm.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think eventually what's going to end up happening is that, that pay rate pendulum is just going to swing to where if you are skilled labor, that quick and easy $100,000, $150,000 a year job is going to be in the trades. It's not going to be the office job anymore, right? It's not going to be just because it's like, holy shit, I got my bachelor's degree.
Exactly.
I'm basically guaranteed a position now. That's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah. Well, perfect analogy of that is the minimum wage for like all the fast food places. Everybody's like, oh, but celebrating minimum wage being raised. Well, all of us that are business guys and entrepreneurs knew, we're like, they're phasing themselves out of the market. Now you look at all these places that are all just robots. Well, they literally signed their own death warrant by wanting this pay raise. You think they're gonna that these giant franchises keep paying these rates? They're gonna find out a way to make it obsolete completely. So 100%. So now that whole pretty soon, the next 5 years, fast food will probably be mainly 80% automated. So all of those jobs are gone.
You go into a McDonald's now, which I don't recommend many people going to McDonald's, but if you do, like, you'll notice it's like you've got one person behind the counter and then you've got 4 kiosks, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Checkers or Rallies or what, depending on where you're at. I think they're the same company. They've got, if you go through like their drive-through, it's 100% AI.
That's
it's
wild.
like a robot that talks to you and it takes your order, and which, by the way, it is the perfect employee. It asks all the right questions. Would you like to, whatever their version of supersize is, would you like to add bacon? Would you like, a milkshake? Like every single customer, it's asking those questions. Like if you can train the hell out of an employee to say, hey, every time you get a customer, make sure that you ask them for an upgrade, for a dessert, and if they'd like a shake, they'll probably do that out of 1,000 times. They'll probably do that 60% of the time.
Oh, and if that,
right? Like this is like a good employee, right? But you've got this system that automatically is just taking your order. It takes it perfectly. And more importantly, it's probably increasing your ticket, your average order value, because it's doing the thing
every time and never misses.
Yeah. So it's like, you look at this stuff and you look at the landscape, you're like, holy shit. Yeah. You guys are really phasing yourselves out of the market.
Correct. Yep.
What does that do? Right? Like what does that do? And again, I think it really does present an opportunity for, that pendulum swing.
I agree. And I think it's going to shift back to the trades again, because those are a few of the things that automation is still far, far away from. So, I mean, even project coordinating, project managing, so much AI technology and outsourcing is happening. Companies like ours are utilizing every possible way to not pay the pay rate we have to pay in California, even for a project coordinator. Project like a $75,000, $80,000 salary for somebody who takes notes is no longer attainable with the same Xactimate bid sheet. That person used to be $55,000, 5 years ago. Then it's $65,000. Now it's $85,000. Like you're damn near $100,000 for an admin position that I can outsource for probably $20,000, and then for you, I could probably automate it for free.
Right.
So these are the kind of desk jobs that are going to be going away. So now, it's a cautionary tale, but unfortunately, business is rough, and like you can't go out of business. You feel bad for people, but in general, at the end of the day, you have to keep the doors open. You got to do what you got to do. So
100%. Let's talk about. You said that your company is TPA heavy. Talk to us about your perception of any potential pitfalls on being so TPA heavy, and then what you've tried in order to kind of mitigate that, right? Like, and this is one of those stories that it's not exclusive to you. It's pretty much everybody in the business, right?
Oh yeah, correct. Yeah, it's pretty much the norm now.
So kind of give us your view on that.
I mean, TPA when it first came out was like the best thing ever, right? Because it was guaranteed work. They were up and coming. All the insurance companies wanted to go with them. It was literally just like your gateway into getting just tons of work as long as you could follow their compliance. As you know, it shifted from that in the early days to now this over-regulated red tape bureaucratic nightmare where you have multiple layers of management all chipping away at your profit margin, all cutting, and you have to hire teams inside of your company. Like for us at Lawton, if we want to work for a certain TPA, say they're very strict, we got to hire project coordinators that know just everything about all their regulations just to get an estimate approved. So I got an estimator, a project coordinator, and a PM that know how to work with this TPA and the amount of admin work. So a $3,000 scope probably has 30 to 40 notes, maybe 15 revisions. That means my estimator is touching that thing 15 times, average of a couple hours. You're spending a couple weeks dicking around with a $3,000 estimate.
Right.
Whereas before it was boom, boom, like
Right.
one and done.
Yeah.
And so the natural progression of that has been where we kind of got to a boiling point just recently. I think a lot of restoration companies are jumping ship, and we had to take a look back, like I said earlier, about right relationships with regards to which TPAs are working with us, that are working side by side with us and not against us. Because in our industry, like we noticed, like as a contractor, for some reason, like we're demonized for some reason, even though we are the ones restoring. We're the only missing piece. For some reason, we're the ones that are always being gone after as being predatorial, charging too much. But like literally, it's the opposite. Like it's being nickel and dime the other way around.
Right.
Your estimate for $3,000 has an upload of 8%. You got to pay 8% to a TPA middleman. And then from there, then the adjuster takes that $3,000 estimate, chews it apart, kicks it back down to you for $2,600.
Right.
And then you have to take 8% off of that. And you're going back and forth as your office staff and overhead is that working there, not making any money, just fighting over that scope, back and forth, office staff, admin time. And you start realizing, you go, this is insane. The amount of time and effort it takes to get this done, you realize that at scale is kind of how you go out of business. And we were doing over $20 million just last year in just TPA. And we lost our ass because the amount of admin staff it took. Like we had like over 20 office staff to do that. And the margins are just shit.
Right.
So that's why. So
and they're not getting any better.
And not getting better. And like I said, honestly, it keeps the doors open. It keeps I'm not saying not do it. Just don't make it your only wheelhouse, because putting all your eggs in one basket, that's not your way to success and freedom. That keeps your guys busy, keeps consistent work coming in. It's a great avenue to have when things are slow, of course, but you gotta spread out past there, because to me, it also teaches you to run a sloppy company. I built my company around TPA regulations and not around how to build my company to make money for years. We worried more about approvals and timelines and upload scores and cycle times than we did about profit first and about customer service, because our customer was the TPA, our customer is the adjuster. We got to make everybody happy. It's Miss Smith and the TPA and this person. We want everybody happy, and they're never all happy. Right.
Rarely,
so my cautionary tale is, you build an infrastructure around that, it teaches you to be a bad business owner, because your labor efficiency rate is shit. Like you're like, if I told you I had a business model for you and you had to hire 4 more office staff, but also it's less money you can make over here, you'd tell me to take a hike.
Right. 100%.
But for some reason, all these restoration guys go, oh, how much work do you have? Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I mean, we get all excited, but we don't realize we're being controlled by volume. We're not going to make money at that if all we do is that, because the infrastructure takes too much.
Right. It's the busy work.
So yeah, it's the busy work. Correct.
It's the busy work. And a lot of times, like, people confuse being busy with being efficient, or being busy with making money.
Correct.
It's like, oh, I'm busy. It's like, well, great. Well, hold on. Let's take a step back here. Like, but are you making money? And this is where everybody now in the industry is kind of like, well, about that.
Exactly.
We're still trying to figure that part out.
I mean, and then we lost a lot. Talking about retaining staff, we lost a lot of managers. So they wake up in the morning to nothing but emails, escalated emails, revision emails, escalate, and like they're like your everybody's heart rate is like at a huge high level, because you feel like the world's collapsing because everybody wants this stuff done now.
Right.
And it's like very demanding. And it's all above the tree line, like all these little items. It might be adjusting base service charges, but it sucks up your manager's time. They have no time for exponential thinking, no time for sales, no time for customer service. They're just at their computer trying not to get yelled at by whatever TPA or adjuster is sending out their next revision, or they're going to cut us off. Or we received the email, if you don't get these uploaded today, we're shutting you off. Like, it's always heightened flight, like, and it wears on you. It wears on your team. And a lot of guys we lost a lot of managers saying that we won't do it. And I've been doing all the interviewing now and I have PMs that'll send out their resumes and they'll state right on there, no TPA. I've actually been seeing that on the resumes now. I was like, holy shit, I've never seen that. But I've seen like some guys have been ops managers from bigger companies that put on, they're burnt out. Yeah. They just know, like, they want to work. They want to work B2B. They don't want to work with TPAs. So
right. So that's one side, right? So how are you offsetting that? And what kind of offsetting actions have you put into place to kind of get some of that direct, B2C type business?
Yeah, I mean, so we started brick and mortar with hiring a couple marketers to really go after property management. My ops manager was really pushing for us to diversify a bit, and so our first main course was going after GC contractors, property management companies, stuff that's already symbiotic to what we're doing, and just trying to get out of that wheelhouse. We had some pretty decent success there, and like the real thing is getting your foot in the door. And like we started writing what's called emergency response programs. So you go to a property management company with an emergency response program, and obviously they've been pitched by 10 different companies, right? So you got to have a really good marketing person to go in there, or even go speak yourself and try to get those doors open.
Really good or really attractive? Which works best?
I think really honestly depends on where you're at in California, man. I mean, I'll be dead honest. I don't want to get sued, so I choose really good. So we're in a sue happy state over here. So I think the whole the marketing with regards to I mean, obviously law of attraction. It's good to be charismatic and good looking, but if you're just sending out a bunch of really pretty people that have no industry experience, you're not going to get very far.
Right.
So I mean, I like to have people that actually have industry experience. I like my salespeople to actually come from construction a little bit. I mean, because otherwise, say they go pitch something.
About, right?
Yeah, they go to a property management company. They go, "What about this?" They'd be like, "Oh, here's our pamphlet." Like, you see that wine? Like
right. The quick little
I'm like, shit. Right? I mean, exactly. Like, you got to at least get your foot in the door. So we started there, and then obviously, as you know, we linked up with you, and you've been super helpful in helping us on the SEO piece, which has been we're super old school. I know I look younger.
I was trying to keep that under wraps. I didn't want to make it like a promotional piece, but okay. Now that you kind of put that out there, now it's out there.
I mean,
for all those denominators out there, Brett is in fact is a marketing client of ours, and let me just give you a quick shout out, Brett, because look, I've done a fuck ton of podcasts. And sure. I've gotten to peek behind a lot of the curtains of some of the companies that we perceive to be extremely successful, some of those that we perceive to be not so successful. And then my line literally blows up and my email is blowing up every single day with people kind of saying, hey, can you help me with marketing? And I'll tell you one thing that really separates you and your caliber of individual as a business owner is we jumped on the phone on a Zoom call, and I was like, "Hey, Brett, this is what you need. You need A, B, and C." You're like, "Let's fucking do it." It wasn't a let me get back to you. It wasn't a let me think about it. It was like, I'm not sure. It wasn't 35 different questions. It was like right there on the spot, attacking the action and saying, okay, cool. This makes sense. Let's move forward. And to me, this is one of those things that, as a business owner and as someone who has gotten tons and tons of applications from the marketing side, man, I've spoken to so many of these business owners and everybody wants the exact same thing. Everybody wants more business. Nobody, very, very few people are willing to do what it takes in order to get there, right? It's the growing pain. It's the fear of what's on the other side. And one of the things that, I appreciate about you and your organization, it's like, hey, look, what needs to be done? Let's do it. And just move forward, right?
Well, and I think as a CEO, that's your job when you get to a certain caliber. It's not to sit there and micromanage, it's to make the big decisions quickly. And I always like that, the death by meeting book as well. Like you could sit there and overanalyze something. You just want to get the bottom line. I'm the bottom page kind of person. The rest of my team lives in analytics. I like to live in the very small section right there and just make it actionable and then hold people accountable. That's really basically it. So,
let's talk about your route marketers and real quick, because this is kind of a hot topic about what some of the best methods are to really maximize your route marketers or your business development team, whatever it is that your job title is for them. You and I have spoken briefly about some of my philosophies and my ideas about how you can really maximize that, because again, X amount of hours in the day, you can only shake so many hands and kiss so many babies, right? So there's some really cool automated things that you can do in the back end. But so far in your experience, what do you feel are some of the most effective ways to leave a lasting impression and to continuously circle back around to these people, to romance them, for lack of a better word, to say, hey, look, this is the company that I want to do business with?
Yep. I mean, in the early stages, we've had our first marketing lady. She was doing a great job, but she was going out to too many different companies. We had probably 600 different leads in our CRM software, and it wasn't really producing much. And so just like too much TPA work, the right relationship is what you need to go after. Okay, where do I have an in with these certain companies? And for us, our size company's actually been networking even with in my network. So being a local entrepreneur and being in different entrepreneur groups, and I'm also a member of EO and my chapter forum. I get front door access to a lot of other elite business owners. I've used that as a gateway in. So like some of the bigger product management companies I've gotten are actually in different forums, and they meet with me. I deploy my marketing team. I already have a direct line, and I'm more of I kick the door in, and then my team goes from there. So and then from there, that relationship doesn't take 15 phone calls, because it'd be like me and you talking. Like, you know me, I know you, see, you're a product management guy, you like me, you're gonna give me a shot. As long as I don't fuck up, I'm already there.
Right.
Versus sitting at a marketer that a cold call, that's like a 1 in 100 chance of having that work, right? One-on-one relationship and friendships are usually 90% success. So some of our bigger property management companies have actually come that way. And then from that guy, like, so that you have a big wig CEO at a big property management company, well, guess what? He knows other management companies. Right. So now you use that as a gateway into the next. If you're a smaller shop, you're doing less than 20 million, all you need is 5 or 6 bigger property management companies. If they got 500 plus stores each, that's a lot. Yeah. You don't need you don't need as many as you think if they actually produce. And that's the right relationships part. And so we went from having our marketers just do overall marketing to being sales reps where they handle the whole account. So I shifted our first marketers' entire sales package based off of basically you eat what you kill. So it's not just go out and you do it all. You find a company, that's your company. You keep that company. You're the PR person for it. You're the after out, like, that's yours. And if you get that, you get a profit share off that entire account. Whether or not they call you or not. Through every office, if they're in Nevada and East Bay, wherever they're at, you get a piece of that as long as we keep the account.
Nice.
So whether it be like Mercy Housing or or Ethan Conrad or a different federal contract, if she grabs that, then she gets to keep it. And then so now I don't have her going 1,000 spots. Right. She can now do a route of 20. Versus a route of 200.
Yeah. It's fishing for whales, not for minnows.
Yes, exactly. I would suggest that first. And as a local business owner, you're the gateway in first. Like, you're the dude, right? I mean, your marketing team, I don't care how attractive or how great they are. At the end of the day, they got like your team. So for me, the gateway was me in, and then from there, marketing team backing it up, and then from there, our actual workers being able to do what they say they can do. So that's one avenue. And then I went another avenue. I hired another marketing person, and he comes from a government federal background, and he already knows that wheelhouse. So as you grow in business, you can't know it all, right? So like, if I want to go into a new market, I'm not going to learn it myself. I'm going to hire somebody that says they can do it. I'm going to write them a KFFM. I'm going to write them a business scale, how long they have to do it. They sign it, and then you show me. If you're the man, you show me. You have 90 days to prove it, or whatever, 6 months, whatever it is, and then they go out there and they prove it to you. So I look for marketing people that have experience in whatever area I want to get into that I don't personally know.
Yeah. So obviously we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
We could probably do this podcast for like 4 hours and still have material, right?
Of course we could.
But what is it that I didn't cover, that I didn't ask, that you really wish that more people within the restoration business knew, or at least thought about and contemplated?
I mean, I think when it comes to scaling up and with regards to, I think focus on your education. If you're a younger business owner, like when I started out young, you have nothing but energy and time. What you lack is experience. Mm-hmm. As you get older, you got a bunch of experience, but you're tired, you're cranky. You know what I mean? Like, as you get older, like, you just don't have the same pep in your step. So if you're a young entrepreneur, young business owner, use that to your advantage. Soak up as much knowledge as possible. Read the right books. Read Scaling Up. Read the E-Myth. Like, there's so many good books out there.
You mentioned Profit First.
And those are ones that people don't think about. It's like you get so built in your business, and you taking all these different ideas. Like, there's some basic business principles that if you follow will echo through time. I don't care if the book was written in the 70s or written last week. There's a certain principles that you should never falter from. And Profit First is a huge one about that. If you can't keep a little bit of profit every single month in your business, then you're running your business wrong.
Right.
Unless you're VC backed or you're being acquired by someone or a bunch of capital and you're in a scaling, but like, that's not the norm, right? Mm-hmm. If you're the normal brick and mortar,
comes with its own set of headaches.
Absolutely.
Someone's throwing money at you, like, there's always a patch. There's always a
Exactly.
catch.
Well, yes, there's gonna. I mean, there's a honeymoon period, and then there's a divorce.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of how it works, you know? Yeah. So awesome, man. So cool. So let me ask you this. If anybody listening, anybody, you know, who's watching to the podcast, they're like, man, Brett just seems like one of the coolest guys I've ever seen. They want to go ahead and reach out. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I mean, they can. They can email me. They can go on my Instagram. It's Brett_LCR. I gave you the link to my LinkedIn page as well.
Yep. And that's all going to be, by the way, Dominators, all of the Brett's information is going to be in the video description below, as well as in the show notes. Final thoughts, Brett. Yeah. Anything else that you want to go ahead and leave us Dominators with, some additional food for thought, maybe an additional nugget there before we sign off?
Honestly, I can't think of anything. I think we went over almost all of it, but I wish I had like a final punchline for you. But
I love it. I love it. See, that's what happens when you cover a lot of ground.
Exactly.
And by the way, for those Dominators out there, like every time that I do speak to Brett, Brett's an extremely busy guy. I'm busy, so we don't get to connect probably as much as we would like. We enjoy each other's company, but every time we talk, it's literally at this speed, nonstop.
Exactly. I know, right?
So much ground. which is totally amazing. But Brett, man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, sharing with us your story in the restoration arena.
Absolutely.
Your amazing growth, and you know, again, what you're doing inside of your organization is absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to be working with you guys and seeing, being part of the team. So again, Dominators, make sure that you check out the video description and the show notes below. If you have any questions for Brett, he's a super cool guy. Reach out to him. If there's anything that he can help you out with, he most certainly will. And with that, make sure that you tune in for our next episode. And as always, hustle, hack, dominate. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Right on. Later.
You've been listening to